Look, I think the Oil's 5 or 6 with our managers against the world thing was very much born of two strong driving kind of philosophies. One, the music. It was precious to us. A lot of work went into writing and performing and getting it ready and arranging it. And it wasn't music that was designed to get onto the charts. It was music that was designed to make us as a band really go out and do whatever we could when we played it. And the second part of the philosophy was to say what we felt and to act on that as we went. And marrying those two things up is really Midnight Oil. It's the music and the politics and the way that they mesh. And at some point in politics, you can't just talk in slogans. You've actually got to do something. And I think when we realised that we had to do something, we had to take control of our own career. And so we were very bloody minded about what we were doing. And we didn't want to compromise our vision. And we wanted to do things on our own terms. And if that meant saying no to money or different offers or whatever, then that just became kind of the way that we worked. And over time, we found people that we could work with who respected that and appreciated that. And it kept the original music fresh. It kept the original vision intact. And I think that's sustained us to this very day. Now, obviously, you know, you go in this direction and you come up against the whole world that wants to hear you and the record companies and the paraphernalia of the music industry. But that underlying philosophy, that commitment to be ourselves as much as we could, and forget it if you don't like it, this is who we are and what we are, and this is what we want to say, has stayed with us all that time. Well, I guess the obvious thing to say about the Midnight Oil Voice is that we are Australian musicians, and it's our country, our culture, and if you like, our way of being who we are, which we want to express through our music, that's most important. We weren't interested in the cultural cringe. We weren't interested in trying to impress someone in a studio in Los Angeles or London. We were interested in finding something which made sense to us as a band and then taking it out to the people around us. And I've always found it pretty depressing that Australians seem to think that something that happens in another place must be a little bit better simply because it's been imported from a country in another part of the world. And underneath that, I think, is the fact that we started life as a colony. Modern Australia is essentially a British construct. You know, the land was taken away from the first Australians, but that modern culture that we lived in was one which was an inherited, imported culture. So we needed to find our own voice here. And then, of course, ultimately, we exported that culture to them. I think in the first instance, we saw ourselves as musicians and then as activists. And there's musicians in the band who are more musicians, and there are activists in the band who are more activists. And, you know, I mean, Rob and Jim writing a lot, the boys doing their rehearsing, then us going out and doing events, and then me taking another step with working on environment or going into politics. So we married the two things, but primarily we are musicians, and we have to be to keep Midnight Oil whole and real.